Hello. Ahoy. Ahoy, Captain. Ahoy, Fighting Irish Faithful. I think we're going to do that this entire episode. We will greet everyone with naval type of greetings, salutations, what have you. Ahoy, greetings, and welcome aboard the Fighting Irish Faithful podcast. This is Joe, your captain. Hey, look at me. I'm the captain. You know what? And damn it, I wanted to have that clip from Captain Phillips available, and just I didn't prepare. We did a bunch of other stuff. We played. I will say this. Baby Irish Faithful tonight had his first exposure to the original DuckTales cartoons and loved it. So we watched like 5 episodes together, him and Dad. It was a great experience. So anyway, ahoy, welcome aboard the Fighting Irish Faithful show. This is volume 75 of all time, of all shows done. I'm really happy to be podcasting with everyone tonight. Welcoming everyone who's going to join us. I can't believe this is 75 episodes, so this makes it the Diamond episode. I had to look that up. Season 3, episode 23, and I am back from illness. I thank everyone for their patience as we roll in here on a Thursday. This is very, I don't think I've done a Thursday show since Clemson of 2020, where I did a shit ton of stats. Now, I wish that was the excuse of why we didn't do it. I was ill on Tuesday, and it was really weird. It just had the chills, body aches, the whole thing. So just was not fit to do a show, and would not be wise to drink the rest of the Aberfeldy scotch. So thank you everyone for joining us. We'll talk about Navy a lot, but we can also talk about Clemson and just bask in the essence that is. And then Notre Dame is now officially ranked in the playoffs. So let's officially start and jump over to Regisan at Regisan42 on the Twitter. You've been invited to speak. You were the first on. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Ahoy! Welcome aboard the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Go ahead and hit the pink button in the lower left-hand corner.
How you doing tonight?
Hey, ahoy!
Ahoy! Though, as an Army guy, I gotta say, not sure I approve of that.
Oh, okay, all right. No. This is appropriate. We're not. I wouldn't say we're pro Navy. I mean, we're not anti Navy. Let's put it this way: if you're maybe you're an Army guy, so maybe you can say this. But like for anyone who's not in the service, right? If you say you're anti Navy, that's like, what are you, pro Russia? Like. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good. How are you?
I'm feeling much better. Well enough to A, podcast, and B, drink the rest of the scotch here in this particular bottle here. So,
well, I'm glad to see that. Good to see that you're doing well.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like crazy. It was really weird. It was like Monday night. I was just like, we had people over and, we had a good time. And then I turned to the dock at the end of the evening. I was like, I just feel like I've been beaten with a stick. And then I'm like, oh, wait, you know what that is? Those are called body aches. And so then it's like, okay, it's time to go to bed. And then I didn't sleep well. And I woke up in the morning. I said, nope, taking the sick day. And I spent most of the day in bed. And then I took a break to, kind of do some other stuff. And then, of course, go vote. And then just pretty much went back to bed. I really didn't feel quote unquote normal until 5 p.m. So it was really weird. Spent a lot of the day in bed and just kind of relaxing and just trying to get as much sleep as possible, just kind of burn through whatever the hell this was. So don't know what it was, but it's overdone and I'm back on my feet.
That's good to hear. Funny you mentioned bed, because that's actually where I'm heading off to in a while.
Yep. That's just kind of what we do here. So we brought you on, Regisan. You want to just talk about Clemson. You want to talk about Navy. You want to throw some Navy hate out there. Since you're an Army guy, floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I can't really say that I well, I can't say that I hate Navy. I actually have a friend who actually is in the academy right now.
There
So
you go.
me and him kind of are going back and forth about this game, even about the Army Navy game, not to deviate from the subject, but
No, that's all right.
Is that, friendly brothers in arms,
Yeah.
I don't like you, you don't like me.
I mean, neither of you are winning the Commander-in-Chief trophy this year because Air Force is just emasculating, everyone, right?
Yep. But I really don't honestly have much to say, really. I mean, to be honest, I expect Notre Dame to I expect Notre Dame to just blow Navy out of the water, no pun intended.
No, many puns. They're appreciated. I mean, Navy is 3-6, right? We're very far from Navy of yore, right?
Yeah. Though, I mean,
this is not an 11-2 Navy team of 2019, right?
Indeed. I mean, and even then, we blew the doors off them.
In 2019? I'll have to look that up.
I think the score off the top of my head was 52-20. And I think they were getting shut out at half.
Let's see here. 2019 Navy, Army. Why do I not see? Nope. Navy had the win, 31-7 in 2019. Oh,
I was referring to Notre Dame.
Oh, no.
But, I mean, overall, I think the game plan is simple. Run the ball.
I agree.
I mean, you really shouldn't be, kind of piggybacking off of what 5 Foot Nothing said in his podcast. I mean, just run the ball, and run the ball. I mean, sorry about that.
No,
I don't really think we need to pass all that much in this game.
Well, and why should we? I mean, look, Notre Dame has superior talent to Navy, right? And I did not do my normal rote, bit of stats here because, why bother? Other than just for, take care of that obsessive compulsive disorder piece of me that likes having things, be organized and cataloged, right? But
indeed,
look, Notre Dame has superior athletes. We just knocked off Clemson. There's no reason why Notre Dame should lose to Navy. And Notre Dame, their strength is running the football. We ran all over Clemson. We should run all over Navy. So look, there's really no contest here. Now, and in theory, we should pass all over them too. But let's face it, let's stick to our strengths. What's the strength of this offense? It's running the football. Now, I think we might be more susceptible on the defensive side just because, Coach Freeman is new in the head coaching role. Al Golden, new to Notre Dame, right? So this isn't like they've been there for a few years and played Navy for a few years, right? But at the same time, it's like, look, we know what Navy's going to do. We know what their scheme is, and they also don't have the Malcolm Perrys of the past to be a real threat. So Notre Dame should be able to handle Navy.
I agree, and I don't know if you said it before, or maybe I'm just brain farting, but Marcus Freeman was at Cincinnati, and Navy was a conference opponent, so it's not like.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that also applied to Al Golden, I think, though I could be wrong on that.
And I put that in my notes to see if Al Golden as a head coach, either at Miami or Temple, had ever faced Navy, and most likely Temple would have been a more likely candidate, but. Simultaneously, I didn't make enough time and whatnot with what's going on in my life. So, I did not have that. So if anyone wants to do that quick research, by all means, but, my thought is this, look, you could put in a Navy, Ken Niumatalolo, he's been at Navy for quite a few years. right? And this is now his 15th year. He took over in 2008, and we love Coach Ken. And if anyone wants to go back to some of my old shows, I had done an analysis proving that Coach Ken, and this is a few years old, and it's kind of dropped off since like the 2016, 2017 timeframe when I originally did this analysis. But Coach Ken arguably had done more as far as like win percentage and final rankings and Sagarin and things of that nature, as far as performing more with less talent, if that makes sense. And then I think second on the list was actually Paul Christ at Wisconsin. Ryan Harsin at Boise State was high up there, etc. But no one compared to Coach Ken as far as executing more with the talent available to him. Now, I don't know if that's a function of his offensive system, i.e. triple option, or just his effectivity as a coach. But Registan, what do you think?
To be honest, I think I completely agree with you. But I mean, I really don't have much to say. I mean, I think I completely agree with you.
Well, there you go. I mean, that doesn't make a spicy podcast, but hey, it's worth looking. What are you looking for most? In this game, just seeing Kyle Hamilton on the sideline, because I mean, let's face it, we're playing where the Ravens play at M&T Bank Stadium. So most likely, he'll be there unless, the Ravens have an away game. But I mean, it's a 12 noon game, right? So we should be able to see the Irish and maybe Kyle Hamilton sighting.
I think the biggest thing I'm looking for in this game is pretty much for Diggs and Estime to have another field day, to be honest with you.
Now we're talking.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, 100 rushing yards for both. I mean, that's what I want to see mostly.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I mean, that's pretty much it for me. Just Diggs and Estime having a field day. That's what I'm looking for.
Now, would you be concerned if I told you what Navy's yards per game on defense average is?
What is it?
Well, what do you think it is? Just wild ass guess.
I'm gonna say. Wait. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What is Navy average for their opponents on defense? So, how many rushing yards do they allow on defense?
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say 3.3.
No, yards, total yards per game.
Oh.
Not average.
My bad. I'm gonna guess 70 yards.
It's not that great. That would be number one in the country. Actually, that would be better than Michigan, which is surprisingly number one in the country. Well, maybe not, because Michigan's schedule is trash. But Navy is actually ranked 7th in the country in yards allowed per game. They average their opponents to 88 yards total per game. Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Navy right now is 3-6. They are ranked 94th in Sagarin, and they have a strength of schedule of 66. So, look, Notre Dame is 20th in the playoffs, I think, and then 11th in Sagarin, and have a strength of schedule of 30th. So Notre Dame clearly is a better team and has played tougher opponents. So, and we just beat Clemson, right? And ran all over the fuck over that team, right? So, hooray for us. So I don't know, like, and again, I didn't do all the crazy comparison of all the stats like I normally do. Just I ran out of time and was sick and doing other stuff this week. But look, Navy is an opponent that what we see is what we should expect. There's nothing special or ordinary that they're doing this year, other than maybe having a losing record because Coach Ken is actually a decent coach. That's just, one way to go about it. But yeah, I think that Notre Dame should have this game in hand.
I agree, and I think they will from start to finish.
Excellent. Well, Registan, if you don't have anything else, we'll jump over to the Wookiee, but we'll give you your last thoughts here.
No, I pretty much said all I needed to say. I mean, I'm going to probably head to bed after this, so, I mean, go Irish, go Army, sink Navy.
Go Irish and sink Navy. There you go. Can't argue with that. Well, thank you, Regis Sand, for joining the Fighting Irish Faithful show. You've been walking the plank. Sounds like you've been, like we're executing you. So I don't know what the naval equivalent is of dismissing you from the bridge here. But Regis Sand, you've been dismissed. At Regisand42 on the Twitter. Thank you so much for joining the Fighting Irish Faithful show. We'll jump over to Wookiee 4ND, who's changed his Twitter name here since NASCAR is, I guess, over. At Wookiee 4ND, you've been invited to speak. Welcome to the Fighting Irish Faithful show whenever you wish to join. Hope you're surviving Hurricane Nicole down there. Or is it a tropical storm? I don't even know what's going on down there. But anyway, Notre Dame versus Navy, this is kind of what we expect to see every year. Obviously, Notre Dame Navy, it's one of our three rivals, Navy, USC, and Stanford. It's one of those things where you expect to see. We're playing at M&T Stadium, and this is actually the 95th meeting overall between these two teams. Now, what's interesting is Navy, I mean, granted, their schedule is what it is, and their record is a byproduct, I think, of their talent. Navy obviously has a service academy, and you need to be recommended by your senator or congressman, whatever, to be admitted into said academy. So that kind of limits, and pretty much, you're there to become an officer in the armed forces in the United States. So that kind of like narrows down the field of athletes, people who are 4 or 5 star, it's very rare where you have a 4-star athlete that says, no, I want to join the Navy and be an officer and, be in a submarine or be a pilot, be on a destroyer, take your pick there. So the likes of Malcolm Perry from 2019 or Keenan Reynolds from 2015, arguably the two best seasons under Coach Ken, we are far from that. Malcolm Perry, let's put it in perspective here. Malcolm Perry in 2019, in that season, ran for 2,017 yards and 21 rushing touchdowns. Now, he also threw for 1,084 passing yards and 7 passing touchdowns, which is fantastic. Now, Keenan Reynolds in 2015, he had 1,373 yards and 24 rushing touchdowns, more than Malcolm Perry, and threw for 1,203 yards and 8 touchdowns. So, Navy is far from that, and I think those two seasons really, set Navy apart, and quite frankly, are the exception to the rule. But I will say this: Coach Ken, is a good coach and has had the best of Notre Dame for quite a few years. So when he took over in 2008, obviously his first year he lost to Notre Dame, but in 2009 he beat Coach Weiss, and then he beat Kelly 2 more times in 2010 and 2016. So, But since then, since 2016, Notre Dame's been undefeated since Navy. So, well, Wookie, we've invited you to speak. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe you're just listening, or what's the story here. But if you're just listening, that's cool. No big deal. We'll let Kevin Davis jump on at Davis0560. You've been invited to speak if you so wish.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome back to the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Ahoy!
Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard.
Likewise. Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, all naval and boat references are highly welcome tonight.
Oh, okay. Sure. So after Notre Dame, I'm a big Black Knight fan, so I'm not a huge Navy fan.
Oh, really?
Because Notre Dame plays them in, my second team is the Black Knights, so I'm really against Navy. But you mentioned how Ken is a great coach, and I think he's a great coach also. I think one thing that causes him to be a great coach, though, is because of service academies and our military being so disciplined, right? So they don't have the top talent, they don't have certain things, but there's a certain discipline you have to play this game, and I think they demand it throughout the whole life of the cadet, unlike other football teams where you try to get that out of them. So I think that might help them a little bit in that area.
I agree. Now, what do you think makes Coach Ken so special? Because he's had some really good seasons, but he's kind of like had some poor seasons, quite frankly. And, he's been able to kind of roll with the tide, if I may say so.
So I think he's a good coach because I believe, like Freeman, he's kind of a player's coach, right? So I think he relates to his kids a little more and closer. The only negative I have about him is I don't see him evolving with the time.
Sure.
I see him stay. He's pretty consistent over the years in what he likes to do. But as far as who he is as a person and how he carries himself and how he loves his athletes, I think that makes him a pretty solid coach in that area.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I think that Navy does have going for them, look, triple option, and let's just call a spade here. Triple option, it's not, very characteristic of what you typically see in college football or anything past high school, quite frankly. And there is a reason for that. But at the same time, it can be real nasty for a team that doesn't know how to defend it or a team that's not disciplined, right?
Yep. I'm glad you brought that up because I coach against a lot of flex bone, triple option, whatever you want to call it.
Or veer option or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I play against a lot of teams that run it, and that's what I was going to say about our defense. So, yes, we should beat Navy. But one thing we did great against Clemson is we limited our blitzing, and our blitzing was set up a way to it was strategic in this game, right? You can against a triple option, you can blitz yourself out of a game.
Yep.
Like a triple option isn't set up for you to blitz all the time and defend that way. Sometimes you have to let your linebacker sit back and read what's going on. So Agreed. If we blitz too much, it can bite us in the butt. And I mean, besides the past 3 years, yeah, we've blown Navy out, but the years before that, they were like some decently tight games. They weren't like blowouts, right? So I don't want to get into one of those like, okay, we come to the end of third quarter and it's like 21-24. It's like nobody wants to be in that type of situation. Yeah. We want it to be a blowout, but if we can blitz ourselves out of that game. I hope we don't. I hope we do exactly what we did at Clemson. I mean, it was a great defense to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I will counter with this. I personally do not think Notre Dame should blitz at all in this game. There is no reason to blitz at all against Navy.
I 100% agree.
I mean, we have superior corners. We have superior safeties. Now, I did hear that Brandon Joseph may be a little shaken up. So we'll see about that. But regardless of him, whoever is second in the wing behind him, if he needs to rest up, fine. put the next guy in, he should be, 2 stars ahead of whoever is the potential receiver on the other side, right? Now, the one thing Navy has is that, won't quit, mantra. And even if it's late in the fourth quarter, they're not going to roll over and die.
Exactly.
So Navy is a team that's going to keep coming, and they will pursue till, the final, tick on the clock in the fourth quarter, which is, kind of makes you feel good about, being American and like, hey, these people are in the armed forces, right? Which is cool. But simultaneously, it's like, look, this is Navy and this is what they do. And this is how they've been coached. And this is just their expectation with their program and their football team.
Yeah, 100% agree. You also mentioned something about the offense and running the ball, and I want to push back a little bit. Not much on that. I do think we should run the ball all down their throat. We can. But I think this might be the game where we might want to try to work out a few kinks in our pass game. We might want to try some things. Just try to get some of our other receivers comfortable. This is the game where we do it, right? This is the game where you try to get some of those passes in and make sure our receivers do. I mean, we can run the ball on Navy all day. And I think you also mentioned like the yards per game. I think that's also because Navy manages the clock by running the ball all day, right? So
absolutely,
they keep the clock running. So I think we should run the ball. I agree 100%. But I want to see us at least take some shots, right? Throw it to some of these younger receivers and see what they do and try to get them comfortable, especially with the quarterback. Try to get that connection there that's missing. Maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I'm not saying like we just need to be 100% just because we're playing Navy. Now that means we need to just run the ball 100% of the time, and that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that Notre Dame's strength as an offensive unit is running the football, and so therefore we should do what works, right? Now, I will say this. We have superior athletes, anyone from Mayer to Merriweather to maybe not Matt Salerno, but Styles, right? Thomas, all these guys do have the ability to get the ball. Now, if we can call plays and formations and whatnot that get our receivers in space and the ability to catch the ball in stride, then absolutely, I agree. When it makes sense, pass the ball. But as a risk-averse person who's just like, look, if this is what they're giving you and this is what's against you, just flip and run the ball and call it good. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean that's our bread and butter. Might as well. I just want to see us prepare, like try to prepare for USC, right? Try to get that connection there, because we're gonna have to throw the ball against USC. We're going to figure that out.
Well, and that's an interesting point you make, because USC is clearly, they're 2 more games down the road, after Boston College and after this Navy game, and they clearly are superior as far as talent, as far as record, as far as just overall performance and weapons on their team. It's a home game for them. It'll be away for us. And, it'll be kind of, I think USC has more to lose as far as playoff potential, New Year's Six, whatever, aspirations versus Notre Dame, as far as just their record versus ours. But, I do think you have a good point as far as Notre Dame has essentially 2 cupcake teams. We have Navy and we have Boston College, and Boston College is not good this year at all. They're terrible, quite frankly. Believe it or not, TeamRankings.com is giving Notre Dame a better percentage chance of beating Navy than they are of beating Boston College. Our likelihood, percentage-wise, statistically, to beat Navy is 91.4%. To beat Boston College, it's 96.5%. which is crazy to think about, that Boston College is that far. Now, I hate Boston College. They're kind of a tier 2 hate team for me. But simultaneously, it's like, look, Notre Dame's got their 2 easiest games as far as where our program is, to where we're expected to be. These next 2 games are the easiest on the schedule, and then then we got a really tough game down in Southern Cal.
Yeah, Boston College lost to Connecticut. That's surprising.
Whoa, dun dun dun.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I have to ask you this question. So, because I saw a lot of shit on Twitter here, and I do want to talk about this. And we don't have to get too deep into this, but I see a lot of shit on Twitter every year about, like, we shouldn't even play Navy, or we should limit, not playing them every year. They do cut blocks, and they do triple option, and it's boring, and it's like I don't give a shit if they saved us in World War II. Cut them a check and tell them to go, take a hike. Like regardless of Notre Dame tradition, what's your opinion on just playing Navy?
My whole opinion is based off the tradition, right? I mean, I can't. If I base it not off tradition, I will be like everybody else and say, and there's no point to play on. I mean, I don't see the benefit even if we go into like if we make the playoffs or a bowl game, we'll never see this offense again, right? It's an offense that you will never see again.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games over the years haven't been that competitive, and so if I was thinking not about tradition, then yeah, I would agree with everybody on Twitter. But I love the tradition, right? I love what it stands for. I love playing that game because of what they did for the university. Like same thing with like Southern Cal. Like if we ever took Southern Cal off the schedule,
thank you.
It's like I hate it when we took Michigan off, but when we take Southern Cal off, it's like there's a reason why we play Southern Cal, because the Big Ten won't let us in, and we had to go across country to play teams.
Yes.
So there's history, there's tradition there. I don't think we should get rid of those games that have that type of value. But do I think we should be playing Navy this late in the season? No. This should be an early in the season game, first 2 game type schedule, and go that way. But I can only base it off tradition, right? Because they're not good, and the offense is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make. And my thought of playing Navy every year, and for the record, I have no problem with it. When in doubt, tradition at Notre Dame. I will say this though, part of me is kind of like, well, okay, yes, we have this mutual respect relationship with Navy, and I'm totally fine with that. But my also thought is, look, like I'd rather play Navy than playing some of these other garbage teams, if I may say so, or like lower level teams, right? Can I say that? I mean, like, for crying out loud, LSU is playing UAB, right? Would you rather play UAB or Alabama? Not this week, but next week they're playing Austin. I don't even think it's Austin Perry, just Austin Pay. I don't know. Right before they play the Iron Bowl. Okay. Georgia played. They didn't play Norfolk State, but they played some team I've hardly ever heard of.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Notre Dame play some cupcake team like that, or play a team in Navy that it's like, look, we know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to run triple option. This is their talent. It's like 90s at best. And this is it. This is what they're going to do. Go coach for it. Like, if someone said, this is exactly what you're a coach, Kevin. If someone said, this is what your opponent's going to do, go prepare your team for that, you'd be like licking your chops.
Yep.
And so anyone who's like, oh, we don't like playing them because like we don't benefit anything. Bullshit. It's a fucking win. It's a win on your schedule. Like, does Notre Dame, in the years we play Purdue, do we really benefit from playing Purdue? Like, usually Purdue is not good, right? Like think about that for a second, like all these SEC schools, they still play the Missouris and the Vanderbilts and whoever else. Kentucky's been kind of surprisingly good-ish, the last few years, which is weird. But the SEC teams still have the Patsies on their schedule in their own conference, in addition to their FCS or whoever else they played. So playing a service academy, why would you not play a service academy, right? You know exactly what you're going to get. It's lesser talent, and then you can kind of bolster the armed forces. This mutual respect thing. It's like big deal, right?
Yeah, and here's another benefit that people don't think about either. It prepares us for the grind, right? It prepares our interior people for a grind, because they're gonna be getting beat up all day with this triple option. So when they go against tougher opponents and tougher people in the trenches, and they got better D linemen, it helps you prepare for that grind. Now for the DBs and all the receivers and all that, not so much. But for that interior, that grind, it can change you, right? It can change like how you think about the game and how you play the game. So that's one positive of playing this game, is that interior grind.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like if you're playing pickup basketball or something. It's like if you've got, some like post player who's really aggressive, it's like, I don't want to guard that guy. I'd rather guard the guy that just jacks threes all day. It's just like, look, just like the guy who's like working down low or trying to, back in on you and then do like, a jab step, jump shot kind of guy, that's a harder dude to guard versus, the guy who just like catches and shoots, from way downtown. Right.
Yep.
So like, I just think like people who don't want to play Navy, they're just making excuses. Like that's my opinion.
I personally hope we play them every year. I just feel like the game should be like it. I think it should be earlier in the year, but I think we should play them every year. That's just my feel about it.
Sure. No, that seems fair. Now here's another wrinkle here, because this has been my opinion for a few years here. And it's not so much just because I don't like Navy. That's not what this is about. But it's more so just like the ability for Notre Dame to attract, quite frankly, any opponent they want. If said opponent is bold enough to play Notre Dame, I'm looking at you, Michigan, anytime away from your precious Big Ten schedule against Rutgers, take that, skunk bears. But look, why would Notre Dame want to limit themselves to just playing one service academy when they could potentially play any of them? I mean, we've just had two people on this show tonight who lean more Army and the land than they do the ocean here. Okay, so let's step ashore and potentially play Army. Or can we go to the sky and can we play the Air Force? Fighting Irish Faithful, I will go on record and say this. Why would you not just play one service academy every year and just put them on a rotation? And then you also rotate where you play, like a home versus away, or home versus neutral, whatever it is. You can still play Navy in Ireland. You could play Air Force in, you could play Air Force in Colorado Springs, or, fucking Germany, right? Like there's Air Force bases all over the world, play Army in West Point, or, in the middle of, Gettysburg. I don't care. Okay. Probably not Gettysburg, but you guys get the point, right? Put all the academies on a rotation, and then we can play all of them. And then it's kind of an armed forces, supporting thing. And you can do it on Veterans Day weekend, if you want, or do it, closer to 9/11, although that's a little sensitive, but you guys get my point, right? Do it earlier in the season if people are worried about the injury thing, which is a fucking bullshit excuse, which we'll talk about later on the show. But my point is, just play all the service academies. Don't just play Navy. I don't think it's good when Notre Dame plays two or all three in 1 year, because I just think that's just not good for scheduling. But just play one. I'd rather play a service academy than, quite frankly, playing Tennessee State next year. I'll be the first to admit that. just play one service academy and don't play Tennessee State. Like, I get why Notre Dame is playing Tennessee State, so I don't want anyone to confuse any of that, and that's fine. Right? I have no problem with that. But it's like, look, if you're going to have a lower program, a lesser, FCS team or Purdue, we love taking shots at Purdue on this show. Just play a service academy, right? They have less talent. You know that they are not going to be able to recruit the way that the Alabamas and the SECs and the Pac-12s and the hot shots of the Big Ten, they're not going to be able to do that. So play one of the service academies every year, put them on a rotation, and then that's just my opinion. All right.
No, I totally agree with the rotation. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's great, and then it kind of mixes it up, and then it's like people don't have to just feel like, oh, we got to play Navy again, and just be susceptible to cut blocks, And let's face it, the Air Force and the Army are really the only two other academies that are kind of stepping outside of the triple option bubble, quite frankly. Navy and Kenya Matalolo and Ivan Jasper, their offensive coordinator, are kind of just still doing that same thing, and it is what it is. I will say this, with the right personnel that Navy has had in the past, we mentioned Malcolm Perry and some of these other people before in the show. It's nasty. It's really hard to defend. It's really effective. And you can catch people slipping if people are overly aggressive or under-disciplined. But look, if you... And I didn't do this analysis, but I was kind of curious, is like, look, Navy joined the AAC, back in the day, and it's like, did they screw themselves by doing that? Because now they're playing, the same teams every year, and now they've all seen it, and so now they have the ability to defend it better. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, let's go another way. Okay, Drew Pine isn't the most mobile guy, but could you imagine if Buckner was healthy? We could run the option with Buckner.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like how nasty would Notre Dame's rushing game be right now today if you had Tyree and Buckner running the fucking option with Estime, as that first option, right, between the guard and the tackle? Oh, dude. Talk to me, right?
Wonderful.
It would be wonderful. So, well, Kevin, we're going to jump to some other people. Any other thoughts here on Notre Dame Navy, or you're just like, hey, go Army, go Black Knights?
I love Black Knights. I just want to see how you felt about Dan Orlovsky's praise of Tommy Rees.
You're gonna have to educate me here. I've been off Twitter and social media for a couple days here. You're gonna have to educate me.
So Dan Orlovsky was posting videos analyzing Tommy Rees's play calling. He's talking about how wonderful Tommy Rees is at his play calling and his different formations and things like that. He thinks Tommy Rees is a great play caller.
Is this specifically to the Clemson game, or just like overall, or?
Well, I think the videos he was clipping, he was showing on Twitter were of Clemson. So I guess it was focused on the Clemson game.
I think I might have been tagged on this by someone else. I will say this. My thought is, I am happy that Rees has woken up and smelled the coffee of, this is what you have in the cupboard, and it's called Run the Football. Okay? Which, if anyone's listened to this show since the fucking spring, I've been touting and banging that drum since day one, prior to Price being injured. Okay? And it's like, with Price, we had 4 capable running backs. Now, he got injured. I feel bad for the guy. Hopefully we see him next year. But we now have 3 capable running backs, which is fine. It's kind of a product of necessity. Because you can't have all 4. Well, I guess you could have all 4 in the background, but let's not do that, right? My point is this: whether either Rees stumbled across this because he has no other option, or he's like, oh, clearly this is what we should do. I'm not going to really overanalyze that. I'm just happy as he's recognizing right now and then this is what we're supposed to do because this is our best option of winning. And I also will say this, if the offensive line had not been able to progress, develop, and grow to where it is now, there's no way in hell we'd be running the ball as well we are now. So credit to Heastan for getting those guys in a good rotation, in a good, synergy, for all the business people out there who are just, right now nodding, as they hear that. You've had a good synergistic unit come together on the offensive line where they understand what their assignments are and they're able to block effectively, and we're able to run between the tackles. So whether or not that's good play calling by Reese, I don't know, or is it just like, look, this is our only option, and it happens to just really be effective? I will not take anything away from Reese for calling the obvious good plays that they are, but at the same time, it's like I also am gonna have to give him credit for not trying to force passing on the thing. I think Coach Reese knows he needs to pass to be successful in the long term for Notre Dame going forward. But I also think the fact that he's not trying to do that now and only pass really when it makes sense, especially in the Clemson game, which was, you're at home, you've got Mayer, and, we're killing them at one point, we're up by 4 touchdowns. That's the kind of times where you're like, oh, fuck it, we'll just pass it. No, he didn't do that at all. It was 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 12, whatever it was, and we still ran the ball and got a first down. That shows maturity and discipline on Reese. And I don't know if it's quote unquote good play calling, but it's something that makes sense with what you have, what you're effectively doing and analyzing in game. And maybe if that's effective and good play calling, then fine. So that's just kind of my take on that whole piece.
Yeah, it was just interesting. He was posting the clips, analyzing them, talking about how great he was. I wonder how people felt about those postings.
Well, I mean, and my favorite play, he hasn't even run yet. So hopefully he's saying that for USC or for a bowl game. It's like a counter toss play. But that's something for another show. Well, Kevin, I really appreciate you jumping on. Wookie is patiently waiting in the wing here as his house is being bombarded with rain, probably. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Fighting Irish Faithful Show.
Go Irish.
All right, go Irish. That is at Davis0560 on the Twitter. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us tonight on the Fighting Irish Faithful Show. Let's jump over to Wookie at Wookie4ND on the Twitter. Go ahead and unmute yourself, sir. Welcome to the show.
Ahoy!
Ahoy! Yeah, there you go. First one to jump in on that. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Hurricane Nicole has gone north, and it is all calm now, thank God.
Go away, you
very
bitch.
Hairy. Yes, it was very scary about 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Oh, man.
Sideways trees is not good.
No, trees are supposed to go up and down, right?
Right. But all is well. And I'm glad you're feeling better.
I appreciate that. No, like I said, it's kind of this weird, I don't know how many hours that was, but we had some weird fatigue and just, I don't know, just wasn't feeling good. Just like, I'm just going to take the day off work and I need to rest, and happy to be back on my feet.
Yes.
Well, I'm sitting now podcasting, but a little late on a Thursday versus our usual Tuesday night show. So,
oh, no worries at all. Glad you're better.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So, what's your thought here on Notre Dame versus Navy? Are you like fuck Navy? We need to show more love to the Army and the Air Force, or are you just like cut them a check? Just play, better teams. I don't know. What's your thought?
I like the rotation idea a lot, and I say we play the Navy on a battleship. lay down AstroTurf, baby. Let's go.
Do we even have battleships anymore? It might have to be like
aircraft carrier.
What's like you go to like San Diego or New York, in the off the Hudson. What is it? The Intrepid that's in New York. It's got all the old like fun parked retired sexy planes that are just out there. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to move the planes, but we could play in New York on the Intrepid on an aircraft carrier. Yes. Why not? I think
exactly.
Notre Dame's crazy enough to do crazy shit like that, right?
It would be an interesting kicking game.
I might have to put up some nets or something. Or, just whatever. Just kick the ball into the Hudson. It's not going to make a big deal, right?
If the ball goes in the water, we get 3 points.
So clearly, I think you're confident in a Notre Dame victory over Navy.
Oh yes, but I'm gonna go on with what Kevin mentioned, and we've already proven that we can run the ball against an elite team and knock them out of the playoffs. So I say I still want to see Pine's accuracy. I want to see that arm. Let him throw. If it don't work out, run the damn ball.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a legit point. There's no better team to try to pass the ball than Navy. Now, I will say this. If it becomes detrimental or, we start trying to force stupid crap, then no, we shouldn't be passing the ball. But simultaneously, it's like, look, we have to win. Now, I will say this. When you play Navy, obviously, we've been running the ball, and so we've been, struggling, or I don't want to say struggling, but owning time of possession. Now, I stopped keeping track of time of possession just because it's not a statistical significant factor when I look at national champions. So it's like, well, if national champions it doesn't really influence their performance, then why should I pay attention to it for Notre Dame? However, in this game specifically, knowing what Navy does, I mean, this game could be over in 2 fucking hours if Notre Dame and Navy both just run the ball the whole time, because the clock will just be rolling and rolling and rolling. And, and we saw that last week because Notre Dame just ran the ball the whole time, owned the time of possession. And the NBC broadcast, which was slated for 3.5 hours, they're just like, well, we can't get to the evening news yet because, so we'll just show Marcus Freeman and we'll interview random players on the field and we'll have the sky cam go over the stadium, which was awesome. Loving this.
It was yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so if Notre Dame and Navy both run the ball as much together, then this game's going to be over real quick. And we might be disappointed because it's like, I barely got a buzz on during this game. And it's just like, well, shit, the game's over. But I agree with you. There's no better opponent than this week as far as trying to, let's try to pass. Let's try to let Pine loose, get some passes to, God forbid, Salerno or Lindsay or whomever. But let's just get some passes out there.
Spread the love.
Yeah, just spread it around. Kind of have let Reese kind of do what he's supposed to do. Why? Because look, Navy, their talent is inferior, and we've got height and weight advantages to them.
Yeah, they'll double team there.
Well, and they could double team them all they want, but it's just like, look, I mean, look what happened in 2012 when we played them, in Ireland. We beat them, 50-10 or whatever the hell that was, right? Yeah, it was 50-10. So, hooray for our side.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome game. I remember that one. Ooh.
Yeah, that was
early. That was early.
Well, and I think that's kind of the good thing because, we played them so early. Now, and that's where we're going to play next year is first game of the season is in Ireland. So that's good. Yeah. Which we were supposed to play in 2020 in Ireland, but COVID kind of said, fuck you to that. So fuck you, COVID. Now, I will say this. So this is kind of a like pop quiz trivia. Like the Navy rivalry has been a little more interesting since the Weiss years. I'll just put it that way. Now, prior to Charlie Weiss,
oh god,
and without cheating and looking it up on the internet, right? But I had to go back and look this up. When was the last time prior to Weiss that Navy beat Notre Dame? I'll give you a hint. It's before Lou Holtz.
Before Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz was undefeated versus Navy, but before that.
Oh, God. I honestly...
Second hint is long before that.
I cannot honestly remember because I was so young.
Oh, you probably weren't even born yet, if I may say so. I'll go on a limb with that one. The last time prior to Weiss in 2007, losing in 3 overtimes, 46-44. Now, grant that was Notre Dame's shit 3-9 season. Yeah. Notre Dame lost to Navy in 1963.
Whoa.
Yeah, figure that shit out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Dang. I didn't know it was that.
And it was at home, actually. To a number 4 Navy team. So,
well, there you go. They're number 4.
Yeah, but between 1963 and 2007, Notre Dame won every single match versus the midshipmen. So it's interesting. Like if you step back away from that, like okay, Lou Holtz, right? Okay, everyone like nods and says, "Oh, of course, absolutely, of course we're gonna win." Dan Devine, Era Parsegian, fine.
Devine,
yeah, right. And a lot of people give Devine shit, and I'm like, okay, know, he wasn't, he wasn't Parsegian or Holtz, but it's like no. Devine had really fucking good records. So anyone who if anyone wants to, hey, at me on Twitter, okay, at faithful_Irish, okay, if you want to talk shit about Dan Devine, I'll just be like, try again, right? Why don't you do some math before you come? Because he had a way better winning percentage than fucking Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. Sorry, I'll just say that.
He just had a different style, though.
And he wasn't, I wouldn't say he's a player's coach, and he wasn't a fans coach. He certainly wasn't Marcus Freeman. I'll just put it that way, right?
He was like for himself.
Well, I don't even so much that. I think actually he had a lot more in common with Kelly, with the exception that he was just a better coach.
He won big games.
He did win big games. He won a fucking title, right? And
right?
Now it helps when you have Joe Montana, but let's put it another way. He was actually really reluctant to play Joe Montana. And if anyone, well, of course, everyone who's a Notre Dame fan now has Peacock because you've been kind of forced to watch it, right? Watch Notre Dame games on Peacock. On Peacock, just go ahead and search Joe Montana. There's actually a Joe Montana documentary-ish on Peacock, and I'm only like one episode in. A friend of mine told me about it, and I was like, oh, really? And so, like, and that shows how often I'm on Peacock, right? But on Peacock, and this is not I wish we were sponsored by NBC on this show. We are fan supported as far as the Etsy store, which, damn it, I saw Justin Cates on earlier and he didn't jump on, but jump to the Etsy store, for your Fighting Irish Faithful gear. To go to Etsy's, type in Fighting Irish Faithful. I gotta do that,
yes.
Yes, you do. Because I know everyone who buys and orders things, and well, I won't call anyone out, but I'll just put it that way. But anyway, I digress. Here's the thing. Weiss obviously was terrible in 2007. He probably should have been fired that season. He loses in 3 overtimes in Navy. It takes Navy that long to finally beat Notre Dame after however many years. Okay. Then Kelly... here's the thing. Navy wins back-to-back games in 2009 and 2010. Figure that shit out. Okay.
Oh my God.
Which means that both Weiss and Kelly both lost to Navy twice. Kelly lost in 2010 his first year as head coach, and in 2016 in the 4-8 season.
Oh yeah, that 4-8 season, good God. But that 2007 game, I remember that one because me and 4 buddies went to a bar to watch that game, and we almost all got kicked out of the bar. And by the end of the game,
did you throw stuff, or you were just mad?
We were just being loud, rowdy, and stuff, and people were just like, "Yo, calm down!" I'm like, "Screw you!" And they're like, "Yeah."
Don't you realize what's happening? Like the world is falling apart.
It was crumbling all around us, and we were the only people that cared that much.
You're a good fan. So, but anyway, so I think honestly, like people who are like, oh, maybe we shouldn't play Navy. Like maybe they're like, maybe they just have like instantaneous like reaction of like repulsiveness, like thinking of the Weiss years and the Kelly years because we've lost to them twice with the last 2 coaches. Now, granted, I'm not counting any eggs or chickens or whatever here with Coach Freeman, but Coach Freeman, as I think Kevin or Regisan said before, when Coach Freeman was at Cincinnati, he did have the opportunity to play Navy on more than one occasion. So that is a good thing. He's got that under his belt.
Yes, definitely. He's seen them before.
Yeah.
And I don't think Al Golden has.
And that's an interesting piece. I wanted to look that up, and I again just didn't make the time, and illness and other things going on today and this week just kind of prevented me from doing that. But I may just tweet that out this week. I'll make a note here to tweet out Al Golden's record as far as defense or as a head coach, versus Navy. Okay. But I will say this. What are your thoughts of Navy as far as like one other thing other than just like, oh, they're weak or just like, it's boring football to watch. I mean, it's not sexy, right? Like, and even people are like shitting on Notre Dame. I don't want to say shitting on Notre Dame, maybe shitting on Notre Dame as far as like, oh, they're just uncreative or their offense is crap. And their argument is like, well, we just don't throw passes. And I'm like, look, on what planet did you think Notre Dame was going to throw lots of passes this season?
Right.
Like what made you think that? Like Avery Davis, our most experienced wide receiver, fell out in the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and that didn't take a Navy injury to have him miss games, right? So I'm kind of teeing this up here. So a lot of the other argument people make for why they don't like Navy is because of this alleged propensity for higher injury. Like, I've yet to see anyone break down Navy versus any other fucking opponent of Notre Dame that says, oh yes, statistically there's a significant likelihood of more injury versus Navy than any other fucking team. Like, really? Like, go watch the film, see the post-game report. Like, no one has done that, and I'm not going to do that because, like, I think it's bullshit. I don't believe it. Now, if I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong, so if someone wants to do that effort, anyone's listening on the podcast version, I don't think, Wookie, you or Kevin, who's still on, listening tonight, are going to do that, just because, whatever. But, any of these other people who I'm seeing this shit on Twitter, people are like, oh, they play dirty at their cut blocks and just like it leads to injury, and then we have to undo everything this week to prepare for this unique style of offense. What do you mean unique? This is like this is the fucking offense that Newt Rockne fucking ran. Actually, that's not what Newt Rockne ran. Newt Rockne ran, he was actually quite monumental and ran a passing offense. But seriously, like, this is like 1940s football here. This is nothing new. This is actually very old school, and so people who are like, "Oh, we don't like it," like, maybe you also don't like the movie Casablanca. I don't know.
No, those people need to just stop, because it's
Chill
a regular season game. No matter what, you're playing your starters, especially since playoffs aren't really on the line right now.
No,
so
they won't be. Not this year. There's no way.
Let them go.
Well, and even if Notre Dame was had the one loss versus Ohio State, and say we had taken care of business versus Stanford or Marshall, I would have had the same damn opinion. I would have said, look, you have to prepare for every team, every game, and they all do something fucking different. Like, just because they throw triple option at you doesn't mean that it's like, we don't know what to do. Like, I guarantee you half of our players at some point especially on defense, played against some triple option team in high school, right? Like, I'm not going to break that down. That's a real deep dive into statistics, but like seriously, like pick any of our defenders, right? Pick a guy, Justin Amiola, whoever he played when he was in high school. I guarantee you there's 1-2 option teams he played. If not, at least someone prove me wrong. Okay. And I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong. But look, these guys, especially when they come to Notre Dame, they know they're going to fucking play Navy. So it's definitely not a recruiting thing like, oh, we don't want to go to Notre Dame because they got to play this old team called Navy. Like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah. Didn't this game used to be close to Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving?
No, in my experience, the answer is no to that. It's usually either at the end of the year or kind of earlier in the year, and it kind of bounces around. But I'd say historically, it's kind of the latter half of the season usually. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, so take that for what it's worth. But I see a lot of Octobers and Novembers in here. It's very rare where I see a September, so I'll just put it that way. Right. But a lot of Octobers and Novembers. So I don't see anything past midway November, really. I don't see anything past mid-November. So that's kind of my thought. So, but no, the propensity for injury, look. Yes, Navy cut blocks. Fucking deal with it. Like, what? You're not going to play it? You're not going to play them? Like, look, it's allowed in the rules. For anyone who doesn't like that, that's such a bitch-ass attitude. And this is for anyone who's listening to this on a podcast version. I'm probably going to lose Twitter followers for this. But, look, grow up, okay? You don't like Notre Dame playing Navy just because they do cut blocks? It's allowed in the fucking rules. It's allowed in the rules. It's allowed in the rules. It's not illegal. It's not clipping, okay? It's not one of these other dirty plays, okay? It's unusual. People don't usually do it, right? Probably from an effectiveness standpoint. But look, Navy has to do it because it's an effective way, because there's a physical size differential for them versus who they're playing, all right? Notre Dame's defensive linemen versus Navy's offensive linemen, there's 60 pounds of difference probably, okay? And there's probably reasons for that, because these guys are doing push-ups in the fucking Annapolis quad, at 4 a.m. or whatever it is, before they have to go jump out of a helicopter later. You know what I mean? Like USA. You know what I'm saying? So that's my point. These guys are football, they're going to have a career long after playing Notre Dame, on football. They're going to go off and do great things in the military. So respect. But my point is, just because they're doing cut blocks and there's a high propensity for injury, like, grow up. Number one, show me the statistics that show that, yes, Notre Dame players statistically get more injured playing Navy. Bullshit. Number two, it's allowed in the rules. And number three, don't be a bitch. All right, just don't be a bitch. All right, just grow up. All right, look, if you don't want to get injured, then don't play football. Don't play games. Talk to Jadarian Price, okay, who was the fucking all-star, him and Angeli, in the spring game. Price got injured, okay, not even playing against Navy. Or let's go another direction. Avery Davis got injured before the season even began.
Yeah.
Okay, so why even play games? If you're worried about injury, then you shouldn't be playing football. Injury fucking happens. Look at Buckner. Buckner's out. Okay, and no other podcast, I guarantee you, gave more praise and, was playing fucking theme songs to Buckner and waving him with palm branches like this show was. Okay?
Right.
So if anyone's more disappointed, it's this guy right here. And maybe in my heart, I kind of want, some triple option with Buckner, which would be fantastic, quite frankly. Could you imagine Notre Dame running triple option versus Ohio State with Estime and Diggs? Dude.
The switch off.
We would have fucking won. We would have fucking won that game if we would actually run triple option. Put it in as a package. They're just like, whoa, what is this? Look, if you don't prepare for it, you don't know. I think it's worth a wrinkle. Hey, if you've got how many running backs we have, and like Pine's not very mobile, so maybe it's not the best with him. But does Pine have to actually be the quarterback to run triple option? You could put, let's do this. Put Diggs under center.
Yeah.
Okay? Just as a package. They'll be like, whoa, what the fuck is this? You would fuck some team up real bad if you had Diggs just as a package for a couple plays, running triple option, and then throw Pine back in there and do your normal thing. Hey, look, football is all about creativity and ball movement on the floor or on the turf. Okay? And if you're doing crazy cool shit like this that gives you an advantage, why not do it? It messes with their mind.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing Mayer under center.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind Mayer as my son's godfather either. So
well, that's true. But that would be awesome.
although I think after the last game, I think Brian Mason, everyone, who was it? J.L. Gallagher, Jimmy Gallagher wanted. He's, I think, the Twitter shout out here. He wanted Brian Mason to like manage everything in his life, from his budget to babysitting his children to cooking him meals, you name it. Jimmy Gallagher was like just writing Valentines to Brian Mason.
Oh my God, Brian Mason! Wow, I was shocked about the block punts. I didn't realize it until they were saying it Saturday night. I'm like, we had that many. Wow,
it's pretty funny. It's pretty wild to think, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And as we're talking about this, I want to give a shout out to Morrison. Where in the heck did he come from last week?
If anyone did see it, I did a retweet of this at faithful_Irish on Twitter. And it was kind of a montage of the entire Clemson game from the perspective of the Notre Dame sideline. And I forget who it was on our team, but when Morrison did the pick six, whoever it was like screamed at the camera, "He's a freshman!"
I saw that. Yep.
It's just brilliant. And just I'm getting flashbacks to 2014, the Remember the Six play. Wookie, do you know what play I'm talking about?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play it here. You know, I mean, we got no one else in the wing here. It's you and Kevin. So Kevin, I think I appreciate you for jumping on. You know, Kevin here. We'll bring you on as a speaker if you want to jump in and speak. Yeah, we gotta find this here. Damn it.
Go to history.
Nah, it's in here. Here, it's just darn it. Yeah, show music. Yeah, game audio. There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Here's the Remember the Six play.
There it is.
The last play of the game is a pick.
Oh,
it's Elijah Shoemate. Is this the way it's gonna end?
Is this the way it's gonna end?
Music tonight.
Talk about salt in the wound. Shoemate takes it back the other way to round out a 37-0 shutout. First time the Wolverines ever shut out in the history of this series.
Oh man, good times. Suck a fat one, Michigan. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh man,
I think that's my biggest criticism of Brian Kelly is that he ended that series. Like
yes,
like. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know, like I will say this: I would rather play Michigan than play Navy or any service academy. I would, being from Southern California, I always want to play USC and beat the crap out of them. But after USC, I would love to play Michigan. And quite frankly, I genuinely think that college football as a whole is better when A, Michigan and Notre Dame play, and B, when both teams are good.
I completely agree. I know too many Michigan fans, and they always bring up, yeah, we beat you last year, like 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, so.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting about the Michigan rivalry is it's actually one of the rivalries that we actually have a losing record to, right? You know, like
we really do. It's sort of shocking.
It begins with a 4. If you go back and you know, I won't bring it up tonight, but I know for a fact that if you look at percentage, it begins with a 4. It's not good. And then and then what's really atrocious about this, and I do have this in the spreadsheets here, is you know, one of my criticisms of BK is in 2019 losing to Michigan. And like, let's put it another way. That was Brian Kelly's 10th year as a head coach at Notre Dame. And so you'd think like, okay, things are kind of in the washing machine and we're doing well. That was Brian Kelly's, one of his worst losses ever at Notre Dame. He lost at Michigan by 31 points, 45-14 at Michigan in 2019. It was atrocious.
My best friend is a Michigan fan. I did not hear the end of it for a month.
We need to really rethink who your best friends are, Wookie.
I mean, he's a great dude. So you know, I let it slide. He's also a Tennessee fan, so I'm like,
At least it's not your twin brother. That's a Michigan.
Oh, here it is.
Damn.
Here's Kevin. I love this. We're kind of like turning this into the Michigan, you know, hate show. That's fine.
All right, we can go all night on this, guys.
Well, I want to hear more from Kevin on this. So wait a second. I think I've seen this on Twitter. Kevin, so you have a twin brother.
Yep.
You're running a podcast with him.
Yep.
And he's a Michigan dude.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
34 years. We've all been fans for 34 years of our team. He every past 2 podcasts he brings it up. We're going to make the playoff. Like, I'm not trying to hear that crap, man. Like,
wait. Wait. I'm kind of speechless here. How does your children's uncle? How do you let your children interact with their uncle, who's a Michigan fan?
It's hard, and he has 2 boys too, and we do like prank war. So when his son was little, I put him on a Notre Dame onesie, like pictures with him. He got mad about that, so he got my son, and he put him on some stuff. And when he was watching him one day, and so it's like a rivalry. Like we literally hate each other's teams. Like it's like
Yeah.
we literally hate them.
Oh my gosh. So like, what happens when you guys like play? Is this kind of shit happening?
When we play them.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Is that what you guys are saying to each other?
Oh, we fight all the time. Like back when we were younger, like it was like physical fights. Like we used to fight over these games.
Oh my god.
Like it was like the competition was real. Like we don't like each other's team. Like it was more because we were competitive ourselves against each other. Like we were very competitive. So now we got two rival teams, and we like two rival teams. Now the competition is even more is increased.
Oh my gosh.
So it got personal. It got very personal.
Well, how does this happen? Like, do I need to blame your parents, or what's the story here? Like, how did two twins like pick? Like I don't understand this. Like, you're gonna have to educate me. I'm gonna stay curious on this one.
It's a strange story. So actually, the Notre Dame Alumni Association actually interviewed us about this.
What?
It was like a couple years ago. I think it was during COVID. So pretty much, we were just sitting down watching TV, and there happened to be a Notre Dame Michigan game, and it was like, I got that team, you got that team. I was like, this is my team, and he like, this is my team. And like, from then, it just blew up from there. Like, I'm a Notre Dame fan, you a Michigan fan. Like, I hate you, you hate me. And it grew from there.
That's amazing.
That's crazy. So how does it that two young men, two boys from the same house, end up like growing to like completely different college football teams that are kind of like, I don't want to say polar opposites, but are pretty much heated rivals. Like, how does this happen? Like, how did you become a Notre Dame fan, and how did he become a Michigan fan? I guess I'm trying to get to.
No, just like that. We're watching them on TV, and that became our team. And what it really was that we hated being twins so much, right? That everything became a competition. Like we didn't like being twins, we didn't like being compared, so we always went against each other and stuff. So we always battle, and like when it came to like sports, like I'm on this side. Even when we wrestled in high school, it's like who's the best wrestler, who's the best at school, who's the best at football, who was the best. So when it came to Notre Dame, Michigan, was like we picked these two teams just randomly. Like they were on TV. I got that team. You have that team. We're like 4, 5.
Okay.
Right. And it was just like from there, I was like, that's my team. Like the gold, they had the gold helmets. It was like that's my team. And he liked the blue and the maize. And it was like
goofy maize color. So your brother has no style because he likes the goofy maize color. Got it. Okay.
I call it the highlighter color. It's a highlighter.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, the Notre Dame Alumni Association interviewed us. It's a whole video. I might post it again. They did the whole interview.
Do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you do, we'll happily retweet that here on Twitter here at faithful_Irish. No, that's great.
Yeah. So and then this last loss, man, and then they canceled the series. Like we went out so bad. It's like, and then it's like we don't play again till 2030 something. It's
32,
like,
I think.
I'm like, come on, like he can hold this over me for 13 years. Like,
that's.
Come on. Like I hope we meet him in a bowl or something. Like I just need to beat him. I just gotta. I gotta beat him.
Well, I don't think. I mean, based off of what I've seen, I highly doubt Michigan will beat Ohio State. They're kind of setting themselves up with their shitty schedule, to play Ohio State, and this year it's actually in the Horseshoe. So, it is what it is. Well, Kevin, I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a fun insight into your personal life there. So thank you for sharing. And I mean, and let's put it this way. I mean, we don't wish ill on your brother or any Michigan fan. Too much.
Too much.
Not too much. I mean, they do deserve prayer. And
Go to the grotto. Come on.
Grotto. Go to mass. Right, exactly. Yeah. Anyway. Well, that we've kind of hit all the high spots here with this rivalry between Notre Dame and Navy. Anything from injuries to the Navy record versus Notre Dame's talent to propensity for injury, which I think is bullcrap. There's one other last thing I wanted to mention about Navy and why I have no problem with Notre Dame playing Navy every year. Now, obviously, I would, as I mentioned before, would love to see us put the academies on a rotation, some sort of, okay, let's play Notre Dame versus Air Force, Notre Dame versus Navy, Notre Dame versus Army, and just kind of have that rotation. It doesn't have to be the same, rotation every year. Although I will say this, there's something about playing the academies that is special, not only from a respect, where like we stand with them with their alma mater, they stand with us with ours, like that's cool. There's something great about that. And if anyone has ever watched rugby, I personally don't watch it, but I am knowledgeable enough that what's the phrase? It's like rugby is a game of hooligans played by gentlemen. And I kind of feel like when Notre Dame plays Navy, we kind of get some of that, where it's extremely fierce, extremely physical, but then when the dust settles, there's respect. And that is something I think that we need not only in modern sports as far as sportsmanship, and don't get me wrong, I'm a step on the throat kind of guy, and I'm a just talk trash and do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like, sportsmanship is extremely important, and if you don't have that, then it's like, well, that's why would you not just, do gladiator shit in an arena? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not what we're trying to do. So Navy, not only is there this sportsmanship thing, which is great, and we're all kind of singing Kumbaya, but Navy, with their link to triple option and this kind of old school style, which no one likes as far as like, no, I like it personally. I think it's kind of great, but it's kind of this link back to football past. It's kind of like a link back to our roots. It's kind of like necessary to remind us of where we are relative to the past of what Notre Dame is, or even just what football is, college football, right? And it's kind of like, lets us go back to our grassroots, if I may say so. And Navy kind of has to do it out of necessity, to kind of just win games and just with their talent discrepancy and just kind of, throw a wrinkle in there and give their team some sort of advantage. So I do think, like Notre Dame is a machine, they can attract talent. They should be able to throw the ball and run the ball over, Navy with this whiz bang thing. But Navy kind of brings this, like, whoa, hold on. We still have this. We still have our niche, and we still also do it well. And if Notre Dame is sleeping or overconfident or cocky or undisciplined, Navy will catch you slipping. And they can execute. Why? Well, you know what? Look, they have a good coach. He's been there for 15 years for a reason. And he has been able to have good seasons. And he has beaten Notre Dame multiple times. 3 times specifically. And the other time before that was, who was that? 2019. No, it wasn't 2019. 2007. That would be Paul Johnson. Paul Johnson before he went to Georgia Tech. So And I firmly believe that Paul Johnson's year, going 8-5, is one of the reasons why he ended up getting the Georgia Tech game. If he hadn't beaten Notre Dame, probably wouldn't have happened. So, well, men, that is all I have. We're pretty light on contributors tonight. I really appreciate you all jumping on. Regis Sand jumped on. Wookie jumped on. Kevin Davis jumped on. If anyone else has anything to say, that's pretty much it. Kind of a little lighter podcast tonight. Only about an hour and a half in. So,
just want to say one thing. I got on to Notre Dame about tradition and Catholic tradition. My dad had like 2 teams growing up. It was the UC Bearcats because he went there, but it was always Notre Dame. And I took Notre Dame as my number one, and, well, he has UC as his number one. He did not like that too much.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Catholic, family, and, just Notre Dame football was just kind of part of it. And, kind of and if anyone wants to know kind of more of that history, go back to season 1 of the Fighting Irish Faithful show. It's out there somewhere. It's one of the bye-week episodes of kind of my background. But yeah, that's kind of my formation. And, I mean, I've mentioned multiple times that I went to school there, so that has a little bit to do with it, but my fandom was long before I ever stepped foot on campus. So
I wish I could have been there, but yeah, going there for games the 6 times that I've had, that campus is amazing.
It is. It's really special, and for anyone who hasn't been there, or wants to go, it's totally worth it. I'm hoping that as time goes on, the home environment becomes more hostile, per se.
Oh, it will if Saturday was any indication.
Well, and that's true, and I think that's a function of our opponent and let's face it, the team needs to step up. The team needs to rise to the occasion. The team needs to escalate and quite frankly perform. Like the crowd can't bring all the energy. The team does need execution.
Yep, totally agree.
So, but it's a technically a neutral site game, although Baltimore is pretty close to Annapolis. So, hopefully, we'll have a good Irish showing. I think Navy tends to draw a halfway decent crowd, but it is kind of closer to their backyard than it is for Notre Dame.
Who is the home team?
That's a great question. I'm gonna throw out that it's technically neutral, but
right.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Navy, just because of where ESPN has them on the right hand side. So
I guess we'll find out by the jersey.
Yeah, exactly. If Notre Dame's wearing white and then Navy's wearing blue, then there you go. So.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you both, Wookie and Kevin, jumping on the Fighting Irish Faithful show tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the podcast version. I am at faithful_Irish on the Twitter. This is the Fighting Irish Faithful show. Finding us on Spotify, YouTube, or iTunes, Apple Podcasts, what have you. You can always find us, or send me emails, DMs, whatever, at fightingirishfaithful@gmail.com. If I offended you because I called you a sissy because you think Notre Dame versus Navy results in more injuries, I do not apologize. You just need to grow up and deal with it. So, but hey, this is football. This is what we do. So, and no, I don't want people to be injured, but at the same time, I think proper technique and look, it's allowed in the rules. So, thank you everyone for joining us. This is, look, 3 games left in the regular season. Navy, Boston College, and then we're going to all be, having turkey and tryptophan and USC. So Notre Dame is favored by 15.5 points. So, and we have, like I said earlier, a 91% chance of winning. So, it really the game should not be in doubt, but let's not get overconfident or cocky here. We must play sound discipline, trust in our scheme, trust in our talent, and beat the midshipmen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Really appreciate all of you. And go Irish, beat Middies.
Throws the ball. It is caught. Reggie Brooks. Reggie Brooks got it for a two-pointer. And Notre Dame is out in front 17-16. Lost the ball. The pass is batted down. It's batted down by Carroll.
It's caught by Samaja. Inside the 20. Inside the 10. He's going in. Notre Dame has scored. Golson throws. Open receiver in the end zone. Touchdown. Notre Dame. Somehow the Irish did it.
Out of the pack. 30, 35. Goodbye, baby. At the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. 5-5 rocket touchdown. Irish.
Tyree. Whoa. Can he get there? Tyree at the 30, 20, 10. Touchdown. Notre Dame. Woo. 98. Big ones. Zibikowski looking for a block. Cuts to the right to the 40. Gets a block. Gets to the 45, 50. Up to the 45, 40, 30. One man to beat. 20, 15, 10. He's down to the 5. Touchdown Irish.